Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the 2021 October Power Apps Community Call. I'm Todd Baginski, and as usual, I'm hanging out with my buddy Charles Sterling here to bring you another fun month of Power Apps goodness. And we also have some people from the community here today. We have Cheryl and Jesse and Michelle. It's all girl-powered today on our Power Apps community call, and we're going to be learning about some cool, fun Pokemon video games, as well as how to get certified in the Power Platform. And there's been a lot of fun doing the various apps that were part of the demo extravaganza this year, and Michelle's app was one that was entered in the demo extravaganza, so we're excited she's here to share it. If you haven't been part of our call before, we do this every month, and we do it on the third Wednesday of every month. So if you're wondering the next time we do it, that will be on November 17th. And we always meet up at the same time at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And on this call, what we do is we gather in folks from the community, just like we talked about, as well as people from Microsoft. And we talk about all the latest and greatest things happening in Power Apps. And we do deep dives on the technology and basically show off what we're all learning in Power Apps to help each other learn and get better at this technology. So this call is brought to you by more than just Chuck and myself. There is also Dana and Heather and Andrew behind the scenes, and they're doing all kinds of things to chop up the video and produce it afterwards so you can watch it recorded on YouTube really quick, or advertising the call and helping get the word out that it's happening. And obviously that really works because we usually have over 200 people here every month hanging out with us. So thank you to all of you for being here too, and to all these folks for making this happen every month. And we have something exciting to announce this month. Anna will be joining us in the future on the Power Apps community call. And I'd like to hand it over to Anna and talk about her new role at Microsoft and how that connects her with us and the Power Apps community here. Hey, Anna, welcome aboard.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm really pleased to be meeting everyone here in the community. I have joined this team, specifically the community success team within the digital transformation platform organization, roughly about 7 weeks ago. I'm at the point where I've stopped counting how many weeks I've been in role. I feel fairly immersed by now, but I am the Senior Program Manager for Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents. I'm also responsible for user groups and events in this team. So you'll certainly be hearing a lot from me around these particular initiatives. You might have known me from different events for Microsoft Ignite the Tour. I also looked after the Microsoft tech community for the last 6 years, so I have a lot of experience around building online communities. So looking forward to talking to you all about that in the future.
That's great. We're really lucky to have you be part of this community with us now too, Anna. And I know, based on all the things you worked on in the past and with SharePoint and Office and the things you did there, I really saw all the energy you brought to the community and especially the fun things that you built into the conferences. So it's going to be fun to see what we get to experience with Power Platform with you leading that.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, especially when we go back to in-person. That there will be a day, that day will come.
You know, Chuck and I were just talking about that this morning, how we really miss it and we want to get back and see everybody in person again. But for now, at least we've got this, right?
Yes, absolutely. We still need to connect with community.
Awesome. Well, welcome aboard again. This will be a lot of fun. And in addition to all those great things we just talked about, there are a ton of other awesome people on this chat right now, and you'll find them right there in the chat room. And so you've got folks who are on the Power Apps team like Anna and Chuck. You've got fast track recognized solution architects. You've got Power Apps MVPs, Power Apps champions, Power addicts. It's a lot of power, isn't it? They're all here right in the chat channel right now to answer a question for you. So if you're trying to get ramped up on Power Apps or you're a veteran and you're blocked, chat channel is a perfect chance to get yourself unblocked and meet new people too who love this stuff. My cool infographic that I have up here actually built with a Power App. And I have a YouTube video about how to do it if you want to see it sometime. But this is our little shout out to everyone who shares things that we do in the Power Apps community with the Power Apps CC, which stands for Power Apps Community Call, what we're doing now. And so we just like to give a shout out to everybody who shares the great things going on with this call and what they're all doing in the community. So if you're really looking for a nice way to go to Twitter, for example, and find great things happen in the community, just search that tag and you'll see all these things that all these folks are sharing every month. So that brings us to our call today. And so what are we talking about today? Today we have Michelle talking about the PokéBubbles video game built on Power Apps. This is like the third or fourth or fifth video game we've seen this year built on Power Apps. I think it's outstanding that you could build a time tracking system and a video game on the same technology. There's not a lot of things that can do that so quick. Then we're going to jump in with Cheryl and Jese, and we're going to talk about how you can get certified in the Microsoft Power Platform. And I've seen what they have in mind here. And so if you know nothing about it, you're going to walk away today knowing exactly how to go get your certification, as well as the resources you need to study for it. When we wrap that up, then Chuck and I'll jump in with lots of different news and things happening in the Power App community, and that'll round out our call for today. So without further introduction here, then let's just hand it over. And now, Michelle, we'd love to see what you've got with the PokéBubbles game.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Todd.
So this is your second Pokemon themed game, right? The first one you made about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, allowed you to take a picture of yourself with Pokemon avatars in the picture, right?
Yeah, actually, this is my third Pokemon theme game. The fourth one. The first one was a Pokemon memory game that I developed, but that was on the theming from Riza Dorani. He did a memory game on one of the first Power Apps for Kids session, and I downloaded his app and I did one from myself from scratch to make myself familiar with Power Apps, and then I changed it into a Pokemon theme. I also share that on the Kids Zone in the Power Apps community, and the second one was the Pokemon 3D Bubbles. The Pokemon 3D game that was with mixed reality. And we can take snapshots with mixed reality and Pokemon in it. And now this is my the latest one, and that's a Pokemon Bubbles. So let's share my screen so I can share you how it looks like.
That's great. You got quite the little quiver of Pokemon games now. I like it.
That's because due to my son, because he's a fan of it. So I would like to make his more familiar with Power Apps, and also let them try to play with the app, so they will like it. So over here, I share my I just play on the game, and I think you can hear the sound if I go on the first screen. I press on OK. Here's just a little introduction about the app.
The audio coming.
On the second screen, the sound wheel comes up. And then on the right-hand side, I have an how to play screen, which will show and tell you there are bubbles stacked. And just make a match with the latest, the lowest bubble. And then press on the icon on the same color. And on the start screen, I think how can I create a game with more fun in it? So there are 3 different play modes in this game. One of the first one is a best of 5. So in 5 rounds, you have 3 lives, and then you have to finish it within the certain time. And then the second one is 12 bubbles stacked, and then you have more lives to play within 5 rounds. And there is a free play mode. And in the free play mode, you can make your own selection. So I can say I want 8 bubbles stacked, or I want just 3 bubbles stacked, and then it will random generate the game. So let's start with the free play mode. If I click on if I click on free play mode, I say play the game. I can say how much bubbles and how much lives I want, and scroll bar how much bubbles I want to stack, and then I play the game. So this time with the free play mode, there isn't any score which counts the time, but now I can make matches. If I press the wrong one, a life will go down, and if I press on the correct one, it will just match, and then I finish this round. So I can play one followed by another. So this is the free play mode. I can play it on my mobile, and I also place a transparent button over here, because if I click twice on the button, then on the iPhone it will zoom in my app. So there's a transition over here. When I go to the first and I play best of 5 round, for example, then it will shuffle again, and I got only 3 lives and a time score over here. So I can play the this round. It will clear it, and it will save the time score that I had already did. And if I finish this, it calculates the total time amount, and I will be in the high score screen. I will come in the thing. So I finish this first, and so, and of course, if all lives are gone, then it's game over. And if I finish it, it will go to another where it shows my score. And finally, I can put in my name. And over here in the best time scores, best of 5 game type, I got the third places. So this will save in a local database of the app. And this is a table of best of 12. So this is actually the whole game. And I just start further with my with the app itself. Yeah, how it's developed. Actually, the first thing I do is think about what I want to achieve with a game. If I develop a game in Power Apps, I want to have an idea first. And then, because I'm more a functional person, I will looking for some graphics first. So I will design my own graphics in Photoshop. I found some nice images, and then I collect all the information, and then I start creating my app. In this case, the first screen is just the starting screen with the logo, the images, and something like an introduction screen. And then within 3 seconds, or after 3 seconds, you will go to the home screen. And the home screen, you will have some buttons. It's just a button with which will save the variables. And in the app on start, I have a bunch of game styling, a set of variables and global variables that I will use over the whole app. For example, which game mode is it? How much global lives I have? How much rounds, etc. So in the app on start, it will set all the variables for me. I have a load data here, and also let's see. I just create some tables to store all the information that I need for to save the data. And on the home screen, save the game type. Then we go to the game itself. And the way I develop the game is with use of a lot of variables. tables, and also I have two debugging types. If I open this, for example, if I start this, it will random pops up with all the bubbles. But if I open my debug mode, just make it visible over here. I have two debug modes visible. I can open the other information that I need. For example, the debug modes, if it's matched, then I can check my game if the variables are true or false. Are they matched with each other? Or for example, is it end of life? Are all the game matched with the correct next image, for example, the next color bubble? And over here you can see is a table, and it will temporarily save all the colors, and actually it just random generate a number. Is it number 1 or is it number 2? And if it's number 1, then just show me the yellow button or yellow block bubble, and if it's green, then show me the green bar. So this is how I developed this table. Also, this table is this one is just a component that I used to store all the informations. For example, the table, and it will match with current number, and current number is, for example, number 2. Then if it's number 2, show me the green bubble stack. So that's the way I developed this, and it will disappear, and the next will slow down. So it will. I will get the effects to shorten it to the bottom. Yeah, and then beside that, I also have a setting screen.
How do you make the sounds play? I think I saw somebody ask that, and everyone loves the sounds. I'm sure they'd love to see.
Yeah, actually, it's an you have a sound, and if I press on the button, then I have a variable. It's play sound, or it's true or false, and on the sound item here, it's loading on the auto start. I have put the variable over here, so if it's true that the sound will play. If and on the sound end, I set the sound variable, the far play sound variable, set it to false. So with a true or false, with a boolean, I put the sound effect on a press action, on an action of this.
Perfect. So it picks it up as a trigger anytime you set the variable value to true throughout the time.
Yes, on the sound end, if the sound plays on the end, then set the variable to reset it. Actually,
it's nice and simple, isn't it? It's not too complicated to get the sound to play. I saw you had a ton of variables, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, I set a lot of variables, and also on screen I reset all the audio, so I get the audios resetted, and when I play on it, it will set to true. Yeah. Yeah. Also on the screen on start, I also set a sound effect. So every time if I come over to one of the screen, I will get some sound effects. Even if I, for example, if I lose its game end of game, then also another soundtrack will be start. For example, if I lose the game, then we'll go to a miss sound or a game over sound. So that's how I achieve this interactive. Keep it interactive.
Did you plan your sounds out too when you made your design at the beginning in Photoshop before you even entered into the Power App?
No, not for sound. Sound, I only found it looking on internet. I searched for some sound effects, but with Power Apps, with gamification in Power Apps, I found there's some delay or problems with with sound effects. It will not every time it will be tracked, but maybe that's something I don't know Power Apps that much. But on the desktop itself, it will play very well. But if I play it on my mobile, then I will get some delay, or not every time I touch on a button, the sound will play. But maybe that's book or someone else can teach me how to do it.
Michelle, I have a question. I'm wondering have you tested on various mobile platforms? Like, I'm wondering if it's only happening on iPhone versus Android, or if it's happening on all mobile devices. That might. No,
I only tested on my tablet, my Apple tablet, or on my mobile phone, because I don't have an Android device. So
neither do I, by the way. Neither do I. Is it happening on both the tablet and the mobile device?
On the mobile device, I will find a little bit legacy. Just on the game mode. For example, if I play on the best of 5, if I choose this one and I press very, very quickly, so actually after each bubble, you will hear a sound, a tick sound. But if I debug this, you can see here's that sound will play.
Okay.
So you see, it will play and then it will resound. But not every time it will go quickly back and then set it to true or false. Maybe I have to do it twice or something, but I try to debug it, but it's not very smooth. So I have to choose very carefully for my sound effects and try it more often on my mobile. Yeah, so this is actually my demo of my Power Apps app game that I developed. Don't know if there are any questions so far.
I did see some questions. People were wondering about like the content that you have, because Pokemon's owned by, is it Nintendo now, or all the different content? They were just wondering how you got that into your game. Is it just because the game is free and you're not making money on it, that's why it's all right?
Yeah, about the trademark, you mean, or not? Or no,
actually, we've got some copyright people in here. Come on. No. It's free. Yeah, she's not making money.
No, actually, yeah, because I'm not making money off this, and it's for trading purposes. So I think it will not be issue for this. But I just changed it, and I found on internet on free internet sources without any licensing. If I search on internet, then I tick on free for education purposes, and then I find some, and it's also all these kind of images like this Pokemon. It's on free sources where I can download it. So I think that and also I am not making money. It's just for education purpose, so I can explain it for this. And all the other images I just created on Photoshop by myself. So
so you have a combination. Also, things you made and things you got on the internet.
Yeah, and not in this app, but in the other apps, I have also a page created where I download the link sources. So that let people know it's free downloaded. For example, the Pokemon 3D, I just give them the credits, not for myself. So.
There you go. For those who are on the call who may be new to Power Apps, I'd love to draw your attention to the tree view on the left side. You'll notice that Michelle is she's got a little naming convention she created there for groups, for buttons, that they have different prefixes and things.
Yeah. Right.
The whole time I've been looking through your app and seeing all your code too. It's very clean and organized. And I even saw your naming convention for your global variables versus your context variables. What I'm getting at is, for anyone who's learning this, from what I can see looking at Michelle's app, like, this is a great app to go download and just look at code patterns and how that.
Also, I try to set comments into my code. So if I debug, for example, the one I use the most is on the group, because I have to check every time I press on a button. I have to do one check. Let me see. It's the in the group game. It's over here. The button control. Over here, I have a lot of checking that I have to do. For example, reset my variables or check if it's matched and do a lookup. Also, I have to set some comments into the code so I know what it is doing, and what if it's true and what if it's false, and then but if it's not matched. So I try to put it into the code, so if anyone will see what it's doing, they will notice and can give it a try. I uploaded this app into the Power Apps community Kid Zone. And here's the link. In the next slide, you will see a QR code. You can give it a try. I can also put this on the chat, so you can download this and try to see if you can get it on your own device and give it a play. And yeah, if you like this game, just give it a thumb up. So it will be come into the Kids Zone first page. Also here I have the second app, the Pokemon 3D, and also the memory game, the Pokemon memory game, also themed with Pokemon. So just give it a try. This is based on the app from Reza.
Yeah. And you know what's really neat, Michelle, is today is the first time that I've actually seen kids on the call. I saw three kids so far watching how you built Pokemon today. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Michelle, did you put the link to download somewhere?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I can put it here in the chat. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Michelle. We appreciate you coming on and sharing it with us today and walking us through how you built it and how it works. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really. How long did it take you to build that?
Well, actually, I do this in my spare time, and in weekends. I am not sure how long, and it's also I think maybe the fourth versions that I built. Every time I'm not very happy with it. So for example, the legacy on my mobile phone. So I try another way, a method to build my app, and finally this is the one I like the most. So I put it in the demo extravaganza 2021, and so and today I'm here to show you all this Pokemon app.
That's really neat.
Yeah. Once again, thanks for having me. It's very happy to be here, and I would like to hear any comments of anyone to see how they find this app.
I think you might find a couple more questions in the chat there.
Yeah, I will read back.
When I brought up the fact that your app looked like a really good example on how to write your code and things, it started a lively discussion.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, come on back again, Michelle, when you've got another great app next time to let me know.
I already have another idea for my next coming up game.
All right. Cool.
I will let you all notice when it's finished and if I'm happy with it.
Well, our next presentation is going to be Jese and Cheryl talking about how to get certified in Power Platform. And I see you've already got your slide up and ready to go. Jese, Cheryl, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for having us. So me and Cheryl are going to present on how to get certified in the Power Platform. We'll start with a bit of an intro here. So yeah, I'm Jese. I am an MVP, and I'm passionate about everything Power Platform. And I have my own YouTube channel as well, where I post a lot of content. And quite recently, over the last, I think I started this about May time, I decided that I was going to do a lot of certifications. And I've got a whole kind of series on my YouTube channel as well about all the different certifications that exist. And that is one of the reasons that me and Cheryl are here today to share this knowledge with you. And I can also happily announce that as of Monday, because I took the last one, I did the PL 400 on Monday. You're about to see all the different exams, but that now means I've done all the PL something exams, which is quite nice.
All right.
So it's something I wanted to achieve before this call.
That's great.
Yeah, but between myself and Cheryl, we've done them all anyway. I know Cheryl.
So if anybody's wondering if you know what you're talking about with this topic, I'd say the answer is certainly yes.
Yeah. And I'll hand over to Cheryl now.
Hiya, my name's Cheryl. I switched career track to Power Platform around 3 years ago, and in that time I have passed 19 exams. I became a Microsoft certified trainer last year, and I've recently become a Microsoft MVP, and I am living proof that it's never too late and that we rise by lifting others. So Jesse and I are here today to talk to you about certifications, how to get certified in the Power Platform, and we're going to share our experiences in a number of areas. Firstly, I'm going to discuss why we think everyone should do certifications, and then Jesse will go on to talk about an overview on what certification entails and what the Power Platform certification path looks like, and then provide some guidance on how to book exams. Then it'll be back to me, and I'll give you an outline on how to prepare for exams and hopefully give you some top tips. Finally, over to Jesse, who will share some useful resources. So I'm going to talk now about why you should do certifications. Okay, you might ask yourself, what's in it for me, right? And there are a few reasons on the screen here. The first one is maybe you want to learn a new subject or a new technology. So my reason was actually that I'd lost a couple of jobs in quick succession and I wanted to switch up my career track. So I wanted to learn something new. I'd seen the Power Platform. I thought it had loads of potential. So I embarked on learning all about it, okay? And since then, I've gained a whole new career. It's had a massive impact on myself and on my family, and I can heartily recommend it to anyone who's considering doing the same. Additionally, as I mentioned, I was awestruck by the potential of the platform, and I have a genuine interest in all of the technology, particularly around the power of tech for good. So anything cool that can bring social impact and make the world a better place, I'm really interested in, and I'm happy to spend time learning about that. The second reason is to maybe improve on your existing subject knowledge. So you might be someone who's already working in Power Platform, and you might be hoping to, enhance your own career prospects. Well, a lot of partners actually link development paths to certifications. So taking exams will actually not harm your career in any way, shape or form. Additionally, as professionals, we need to keep ourselves current. The technology platform is changing at a pace, right? And we need to update our skills with it. So by taking exams and learning for exams, that helps us to make sure that we're always armed with the most recent information about all of the products that we use, right? And the very last reason, and I think personally this is the best reason of all, is to keep growing as a person, to ensure your personal growth and development. Satya Nadella himself says that we should be a learn it all and foster a growth mindset. And certainly I like to think that I've become a lifelong learner. I am motivated to learn new things by learning for certifications, right? And it also helps me to gain some sort of structure around that learning. And the very last reason actually is that if you do go to study groups or attend learning events, you might meet some great new people, just like we have. Okay, over to you, Jesse.
Yes, I'm going to run you through all the different certifications that there are, and then also talk about the path. Now, in terms of the certifications, you can see them on the screen here. And I put them in an order here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take them in this order. And what's kind of interesting about all these certifications is they have this naming convention where the DA100 stands for the Data Analyst Associate. And in this one, it's all about preparing data, modeling data, analyzing the data, and deploying and maintaining deliverables. On the next screen, once we get to that slide in a second, what we'll see is that the DA100 Data Analyst Associate is actually the name of the certification, whereas the exam has a slightly different name. So that's on the next screen. So these are the certifications. So I guess think of these as kind of like the badges as such that you can get. The PL900 next is the Power Platform Fundamentals. So this is, I guess, your base level. And also the thing to note here with the different exams, and this numbering convention actually is also used in other areas, not just the Power Platform, where the 900 is actually, I don't want to say easier, but it is the more foundation level course. The PL100 is the Power App Maker Associate. So this is now thinking about people that make apps, make solutions, starting that process of actually building applications. And as we move up, PL200 is now a functional consultant. So this is where you need to know about what functional requirements there may be, for example, to create solutions. And then as we move forward, the PL400, which is actually the one I mentioned I took on Monday, gets a little bit more technical. So you have to know about coding. There's actually Canvas app formulas in that exam. There's stuff about portals and, when to use Liquid, etc. And then we also then have the PL600, which is the architect exam. So this is kind of your Power Platform architect exam. So if we go to the next slide, I'm now going to actually explain this thing that I was talking about with the exams and how they relate to the certifications. So you can see here that I put them on this path, and this isn't necessarily the path you need to take them in. I mean, I did not take them in this path either, but it's a good way of actually seeing how they build on top of each other as well. So the DA100, you can see here that you take the exam, which is called Analyzing Data with Microsoft Power BI, and it gets you certified as a Data Analyst Associate. Now the PL100, you take the Microsoft Power Platform App Maker, and it gets you certified as a Power Platform App Maker Associate. So now you see that the exam names and the certification name are a little bit more aligned as we move through. So the PL200, the 400, and the 900 have similar names to the actual exam. The PL600 is the only certification path where you need to take more than one exam to earn the badge being the Microsoft Certified Power Platform Solution Architect Expert. So at the bottom, what you can see there is that you have to take either the 200 or the 400, which are both now badges. So trying to explain that difference between badges and exams again. And the second exam you see there, which says Power Platform Solution Architect, that's an exam. So that's the PL600 exam. And once you take either the 200, the 400, and the 600, you get the certification, which is called the Power Platform Solution Architect Expert. So what's interesting as well when you take these exams is when you do start getting these badges that you get, there is a separate area for exams. And there is also a separate area for the certifications. So when you are approaching taking these exams, hopefully the slide has helped to understand those differences between the different exams you can take. So in terms of how to book them, we haven't included the links here because they're quite easy to find. So for example, here I've got the PL100 screenshot here. So if you just went into Google and you just typed in PL100 Pearson VUE Microsoft exam or something, it will land you straight into the link. And all of the different link pages look like this. And on here, what you can see is that you can schedule on Pearson VUE. So if I click that button, I'll then be prompted to pay for the exam and take it. And what's really nice as well right now is that there is an offer going on right now for anyone impacted by COVID, which you can actually schedule the exam for $15.
Now, another thing worth mentioning as well when we're thinking about paying for exams, there are some companies do actually help you pay for exams as well. So, make sure you ask your employer if that's possible. And I know, Cheryl, you might mention this in a second, because I know we were talking about this. Sometimes there are kind of competitions and things and hackathons you can enter, which may give you some vouchers as well. So, there is help out there to pay for these exams as well. Now, in terms of once we've booked them, so now we know what certifications we have, now we're going to book them, how do we actually sit the exams? So there's two different ways. You can either sit them at a centre, or you can sit them at home. Now, I've done both, and I'll give you my opinion on kind of the pros and cons of both, but it's quite personal. So at a centre, what's quite nice is that you've really got yourself ready for the exam. You've left your house, you've got your water if you're allowed it, and you've taken off all your watches and your phones, and everything's gone. So that's quite nice, because it's like a mindset that you put yourself in. Having said that, being at home for me is the same, because you do have someone watching you the entire time that you're in an exam, which can be unnerving actually at first. So that's something to consider. I mean, I remember one of the first exams I did at home, I had my hand slightly covering my mouth just because I was thinking. I had like a thinking face. And someone came up on the screen and said, "Do not cover your mouth." And it was like, whoa, someone's watching me this entire time. So yeah, have a think about that. And yeah, I'll pass on to Cheryl.
Right, so on the screen here, we can see a number of ways that we can prepare for exams. The first one I'm going to talk about is self-study. And the benefit of self-study is that it's free, and you don't have a dedicated time commitment. And for me, as a working mum of 4, that's ideal, because I never know when I'm going to have, large blocks of time available. So my go-to normally when I begin to study for any sort of exam is to go straight to Microsoft Learn, right? So Microsoft provide the Microsoft Learn website. It's got all of the information you need, all of the material you need to be able to pass any of the exams. And this material is organised for you into learning paths, okay, which make it really easy to follow along all of the materials that are needed. You're allowed to create a profile and collections that enable you to organise all of the learning, and you're given challenges that help to keep that learning interesting. The next one down is community events, and these are a fantastic resource that can augment some of the material that's available on Microsoft Learn. And some of the things that are available are things like Power Community Saturdays and boot camps. Recently, I've helped out with a portals and a self-service boot camp, and I know there's a financial services event running tomorrow. Other events include things like the Scottish Summit, which that is next February, actually it runs yearly, and the South Coast Summit that a lot of us that were on this call actually attended just last weekend. Yay! So those events are full of learning opportunities, okay, presented by some awesome community advocates for certification. You've also got things like study groups, and you can find yourself a study partner. So I personally have been to study groups mainly with Julian Sharp, who's an MVP, and I'm not sure if it's 5 or 6 certifications that I've passed with Julian, but they're a fantastic resource because they help keep you focused. You get to share your learning journey with other people, and obviously you can then, if you want to, find study partners, or as I call them, study buddies, among the other people that are taking those certifications. The next one down is regarding community material, and I use a lot of community material. That's largely material that I find online, but also includes, for example, printed material. So Julian Sharp, who I've just mentioned, actually wrote a fantastic book for the PL200. So anyone who's thinking of taking the PL200, Julian's written a study guide for that. Obviously, you can go to YouTube where you find myself. I'm a great a person who likes to use a mixture of learning material, so I find videos really helpful. And actually I can recommend Jese's channel because she's got some great videos there about certification. And I also use blogs quite a lot. My go-to actually for a lot of the stuff that I do, I use Neil Parker's blog quite a lot, and I've also got a blog, so if anyone's interested in learning a bit more about certifications, I blog about all of the resources that I've used to pass all of the exams that I've taken. Okay. Another one there is a Microsoft Virtual Training on Demand. So if you go to events.microsoft.com, you'll find a whole bunch of recorded training events that are there for you to consume as and when you like. The next option is formal training, and formal training is great for anyone who has an amount of time that they can give up and amount of money, because it is quite expensive. Formal training is given by learning partners, and they deliver what's called Microsoft official courseware, and that courseware it contains everything you need to know about the particular technology and will help you pass a particular certification. But as I say, that depends on having the time and the money. The next one on the formal training side is Microsoft Virtual Training Live. So on the same site where you can find the on-demand, you can also register for live events, and that's great because it's really interactive and you get the opportunity to sort of ask questions. So if there's anything you're not quite sure of, you can ask questions of the moderators and they'll pass them on to the person who's given the training. The last one is Microsoft Live Events. I think we were talking earlier about the fact that, yes, we don't have live events at the moment, but we are hoping to have them again at some point in the near future. And Microsoft do quite often run live training events in their local offices, and hopefully we'll see that open it up again at some point soon. The last section on here is regarding exam prep, and this is so important. I cannot stress it enough, particularly if it's the first exam that you've ever taken. So you'll need to find out, how the exam works and what the questions might look like. And you can actually use Microsoft Docs for that. There are some great sections on there that guide you through the different question types. And it's really good if you can familiarize yourself with those before you go into an exam so that you don't have any nasty surprises. Additionally, another great resource is MeasureUp, which is a company who are accredited by Microsoft to provide practice exams. So I'm just going to go through a quick overview of some top tips that myself and Jesse have come up with based on our experience of taking exams. The first one, and this is the best advice that I've ever been given, is book the exam, right? Stephen Covey says in his book, which is one of my favorite books, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, start with the end in mind, right? It really helps you to, once you book that exam, it helps you to understand what you need to do to actually be successful with that exam. Booking it gives you a deadline, and it helps to prevent procrastination. I'm a great procrastinator. I don't know if any of you have seen the amazing TED Talk by a guy called Tim Urban, right? He talks about the panic monster, right? And I am the sort of person who will leave things until the last minute, and the panic monster comes and gives me a nasty surprise the day before something's due. Don't be like me, right? Don't get into those bad habits. Get that exam booked and plan your time. Make sure that you check the exam skills outline. Now, this is vital. It'll tell you exactly what you need to learn, and it'll give you a checklist to work to, and you can find that on Microsoft Learn. The next one I've got is to go at your own pace. When you do use Microsoft Learn, they'll give you timings that they suggest for the amount of time it should take you to learn any particular subject. I find, depending on how well I know the material, these times can vary significantly to the suggestions that are given on Learn. And the main thing to bear in mind is it is not a race, right? Everybody learns at different speeds. To help you in terms of not procrastinating like me and to get all the learning done on time and be able to pass your exam, set up a learning calendar, right? Base it on the skills outline. It'll help you stay on track. And it'll tell you if you're not on track so that you can push the exam out if you need to. Exams can be rescheduled, right? And it'll help you not to skip over any areas of learning. And as I've said, minimize procrastination. I would advise to use a variety of learning materials, and Microsoft Learn is my favorite. But, as I've mentioned, there are lots of things available from the community. Also, you could create things like mind maps or flashcards to help things stick in your mind. I've particularly done that when I've had a lot of terminology to learn. So, for example, I did the AZ900, and there were a lot of unfamiliar terms in that one for me. So flashcards came in really helpful. A guy called Carl Cookson, who is the author of the Linked 365 blog, has some great information on that if you want to go and take a look. Practice, practice, practice. I've seen in the chat that somebody has remarked on getting a dev tenant, right? I never do anything unless I've worked through it, right? Several times. I always take out a trial, and these are available. The best one that I found is actually on the Microsoft developer website. Then we come on to rubber ducks. Now, I don't have my rubber duck handy. I meant to get one ready for the call. But I'm a big fan of Sesame Street, where I was as a child anyway, and I would never be without my rubber ducky, and I've got one just over here. Joking aside, there is something that we can learn from our pro dev friends, right? And they use a technique. There you go. There you go. So pro devs use a technique called rubber ducking, which is to, when they're trying to debug or to try to understand complex code, they explain each line of the code to some random inanimate object, for example, a rubber duck. Okay. And this actually, you know, as I've said, joking aside, this is actually based on something called the protege effect, which basically means that when you teach something or explain something to someone else, it actually helps you to learn it better. The very last thing that I want to point out is that we all have to learn to fail. You know, I'm saying learn to fail gracefully because that was like an old Unix thing that we used to do, but yeah, so learn to fail. Don't become disheartened when you fail, right? We all fail sometimes, and it is not the end. We can always try again. I mentioned something earlier called the growth mindset, and this notion came about from a book by a lady called Carol Dweck, right? She's I think she's like a psychologist, right? And something else that Carol talks about in her book about growth mindsets is the power of yet, right? And I really believe in the power of yet. If you don't pass an exam, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It simply means that you haven't passed the exam yet, okay? And the great thing, and it is a great thing about failing an exam, is that you get an indication of all of the areas that you need to improve upon, which increases your chance of passing it the next time round.
So here are some resources. When myself and Cheryl had a chat about this, we didn't want to overload this slide, so there's a couple of links going in the chat as well. So we've only got really 4 on here. So we've got Cheryl's blog, we've got the Measure Up, and like I said in the chat, we're not endorsed by Measure Up. Measure Up isn't paying us. We both really like it. We've got my channel there as well at Microsoft Learn, and I saw a few comments in the chat about someone who commented on like Microsoft Learn. So Microsoft Learn is a great way to, I think, get started with the tooling, but it's not the only way that you can pass the exams, I would say. So lots of practice, so actual practice and looking at exam questions as well will really help. And there's like one last comment that I want to actually talk about. Someone just mentioned this, like when I do these exams, you can mark questions for review, and you can basically come back to them. And like one method I always use is I kind of just go through the whole exam in 20 minutes, the first time round, and anything I'm 100% sure on, they just go into my I'm not looking at that question again queue.
Yeah,
and
same.
Yeah, and any that I'm even got like a little bit of doubt, I just keep in my review queue. And my review queue just gets smaller and smaller and smaller until I'm like, okay, I'm done now, and I just submit. So works for me. And yeah, Cheryl, you mentioned you do it as well, so it could work for others on the call as well. Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's it from us.
A couple questions to follow up. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, so typically, how long does it take you to study for one of these exams? I know we're all different, but if you set your exam date out 6 weeks, is that too aggressive, or what would you recommend?
From my perspective, it depends on what sort of the level of the exam. So if you start with for instance, a foundation type exam, like PL 900 for the Power Platform, those are because those require a high level understanding rather than in-depth knowledge of each of the products, I think, I generally find those a bit quicker to learn for. So yeah, I would expect, say, 6 weeks to be quite reasonable for something like a foundations exam, but certainly for the associate exams, it's going to take you a little bit longer to do the associate exams because they expect you to understand how to do things in the Power Platform, and then it's more difficult again then potentially for the architect exams. Jesse, I don't know if you'd agree with that.
Yeah, I agree, and it also depends on how much experience you already have, because when I first started doing these exams in like May, I already had a little bit of experience, so doing a couple of years of experience at least, so doing the PL 900, the 100, I didn't really have to do too much. But that's just because I was validating my skills for those ones. Whereas for the 400, actually, the one I took on Monday, I did feel like I had to do a little bit more kind of revision and learning. And the other thing I wanted to mention is a bit off topic, but these are the Power Platform exams. Cheryl, you already mentioned the AZ 900, which is another one I've done. There's things outside the platform that we should also look to be learning depending on our careers.
That makes sense. And now when you go take the exam, I'm sure people who haven't taken it are curious about that too. How long does it take? You mentioned you like to run through it in 20 minutes and knock out all the ones you're for sure on. I'm guessing it's about an hour for most people. Is that how your experience was too?
Again, different exams, different level exams have different allocated time. So the fundamentals exams are a lot shorter than the sort of the functional associate exams.
Yeah,
that makes sense. A cool note, something I don't know if anyone spotted this in chat. I did. The young man watching our call here, Gulshan, I hope I got your name right. He mentioned that he's 7 years old and he passed PL 900. So.
7 years old.
Pranav. Yeah, it's Pranav. He's on his dad's account.
That's awesome. How long did it take you to study for that?
If I'm correct, I started back in January, preparing for this.
All right.
Sometime this year.
That's
and
really
I did
cool.
it around the beginning of August, so end of July, then cleared it. So about 8 months, I would say. 7.5, 7.
That's really cool. Well done, young man. I'll tell you what, when you're 16, shoot me an email because I got a job for you. That's awesome. That's so inspiring. 7 years old, you passed that exam. Way to go, man. Keep up the good work. I'm sure you're rocking in school too.
Actually, he came to the South Coast Summit at the weekend. It was lovely to meet you, actually. And he just loves it, right? He's genuinely, don't you, enthusiastic about it.
Very cool. Very neat. I'm glad y'all met before too. That's really neat. Well, maybe we'll run into him at Ignite someday and he'll be presenting and we'll be watching. That would be pretty cool, huh? Very neat. Well, thank you both for the awesome brain dump on how to go get certified, and everything about it there is very helpful. I know that can be an intimidating topic when you just try to go to a search engine and go, how do I go about this? So thank you so much for laying it out there. That's
Could I
great.
just
And good
say,
luck on all your certs too. Yeah, Cheryl?
Could I quickly say, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone's got, okay?
Awesome. Cool. Well, next time y'all have something cool to share again, let me know. We'd love to have you back.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Well, we're a little bit over on our usual time today, but luckily we can move quick through the rest of our presentation today. So we always have these resources we like to share as well. These are awesome resources that align exactly with what you just talked about. So if you're looking to learn more about Power Platform, these are also places that Cheryl touched on that you can go. And then we have some recent news here. And Chuck, I know that you're excited about a few of these things here.
Yeah, the top one is actually a big ask. There's 4 for Power Apps that I actually picked out this month, and the top one is actually something that has been a frequent ask is, hey, when can we make the solution view actually a little bit easier to navigate and a lot more useful? And that's actually now available. So that's actually a preview feature, but that's actually the default. So that's actually pretty cool. Me and Todd, we do a lot of ALM. We've actually been having a lot of chats in the chat window about how do you update environment variables. We actually did that talk about 4 months ago, Nicholas. You might want to go back and check that out. Me and Reza Durrani covered that. And they've actually just updated the entire developer platform tools, generating Power FX formulas. Everybody's excited about that. So this is something that's been in Power BI for a while, where you go out and say, I want this plus that. It actually gives you the code to do that. This is the one that I'm actually the most excited about, is we are releasing experimental features in the product. In this case, it's actually error handling. And at the same time, we're actually going to have a place in the community to actually discuss that particular topic. And when it goes GA, I'll actually be folding that back into the primary forums. So you're going to be talking to the development team who worked on that feature. So this is a brand new feature called experimental error handling. It's actually in the product. And there is a forum that we just pushed out yesterday afternoon. So you are the very first people to actually see both the blog post, and thank you very much, David Wade, and that forum link that is available. So want to make sure if people want to go out and hang out with me and Anna and Kelly and Pedro and Heather Newman, we are going to be at Ignite. So we are actually the moderators for this session. We're going to actually help with some of the interstitials, and I would love to actually go out and hang out with a bunch of people with you at Ignite. And I think that is me. Ralph Rivas actually brought up a great point that I did not have in the slides. We're always updating the user group experience. When you download those slides after the fact, you'll see that there is a slide for the user groups, but we just added the fact that events are now self-service, so you can provision them yourself. And as a leader, you can go out and add people, your members themselves. So those are actually the latest 2 features for user groups. No slide in this deck, but when you go out and take a look at the recording and download the other one, you'll actually see that's there. Todd, back to you, my friend.
All right, thank you. Okay, so other thing we always love to bring attention to during this call is other places you can go interact with the Power Apps community. We're not the only ones who have a call like this where you can learn more. The first place you can go and get into a call very similar to this is the Power Addicts Hangout. Head to wearePowerAddicts.com. You can find out when the next one is coming up. And this call is very much like this one, where people from around the world get together and chat about Power Apps and share what they're working on, and everybody learns new things. Donna and Sarah also have the Less Code, More Power video series. This is shorter than what you've watched today. These are 10 to 15 minute deep dives or sometimes high level things with individual people and not the whole show format that we have here. So if you're looking for more kind of snacky type content, this would be a great place to go learn more in that format. And then April and Greg also have the Powerful Devs video series, which is also one where anybody can go and share the awesome things you're doing with Power Apps. So if you'd like to do that, head to the link you see here of aka.ms/powerfuldevs forum, and you can join up and present what you're working on that show as well. And the same thing is true for what we do here. If you've got something cool that you'd like to share with the world about Power Apps and the community, let me know. Reach out to me on Twitter or reach out to Chuck, and we'll get you on here and have a good time hanging out and seeing what you built too. Double thumbs up from Chuck on that one. And Chuck, I know you're interested in the BizApps LATAM Summit as well. Are you presenting at this one?
I am. Me and Reza Durrani are actually pairing up to do our favorite topic, which is Power BI, Power Platform Integration. And this one's actually extra special. Yeah, we had the Spanish Summit, and that was way cool. This one is actually taking it and having bilingual, trilingual. What am I talking? Quadlingual? Anyways, multilingual. How's that for the term? And it's actually going out and celebrating people who have overcome diversity. So I did a blog post on the Power Apps blog, but this is done by super users and MVPs. It's literally created by the community in tandem with the Microsoft LATAM's sub, and it's actually going to be a great event. So if you're not registered, please do register. It's going to be amazing.
Awesome. You know, that seems to be a really common theme in the Power Platform community is there's so many folks who have overcome something. And I think that's what's really neat and what brings us all together with this technology. And with that, we would like to say thank you to everybody for joining us again. We always have a good time doing this every single month. I look forward to this so much, and just seeing what the next month will hold and who we'll meet next and what awesome things they will share. If you'd like to watch the recording, it'll be available soon on the Microsoft 365 Community PNP YouTube channel. And we will be back again next month on November 17th at 8 a.m. Pacific, and hope we can see you all there. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks.